Hi, I'm Jim Dew. I'm a wealth expert. And today I want to talk about a business plan and why it's so important. Often people get the idea to start a business, and that's a really great way to get wealthy in this country, but you need a plan before you jump into the business. So let's talk about a business plan and the important elements that you need to be aware of when you're creating a business plan. Let's dive in. The first thing is start strong. A good business plan is critical for acquiring funding, keeping on track with your financial goals, and making sure your business idea addresses an actual need in your community. Here are 5 steps to make sure your business plan is the best it can be. And you may think spending the time coming up with these 5 steps seems like a huge pain, but it will reap so many benefits in the future by starting strong. Let's talk about the first of the 5 steps. Number 1 is market fit. Start by clearly defining your business idea, your target market, products or services, and your long-term goals. Clearly articulate your unique value proposition and how your business will meet customer needs. And the way I think about this is think about who are you serving? Who do you want to really help? Or what does your product and service do for your target audience? And then what problem do you solve? Often people think of all their benefits and the features of what they're trying to sell, but really focus on what problem are you solving, because people are much more likely to spend money and effort to get a solution to a problem than just to get a benefit. Let's talk about number 2. Number 2 is market research. Gather information about your target market, industry trends, competitors, and customer preferences. Use this research to validate your business idea and identify your own specific niche. This is really important because trends can make or break you. So for example, I'll give you 2 examples. So the first is when COVID hit and everyone was stuck at home, they were tending to want in-home exercise equipment. So guess what happened? People were buying Peloton bikes like crazy. And Peloton, their stock soared and they started creating all this inventory, and they created this structure of a lot of expenses, assuming that people are gonna spend that kind of money on their bikes forever. But as we know, that was a short-time event. And over the first couple of years, Peloton did great. But then when people had more choices, when COVID came to a completion, then people could go to a gym for $30 a month. They could go get an exercise bike. They could ride the Peloton at the gym. So they had other options. And those expensive bikes, the sales dropped dramatically. So if you're Peloton, rather than thinking that trend's gonna go on for 5 or 10 or 15 years, it would have been wise, and of course hindsight is 20/20, if they would have said, hey, this is an artificially generated demand due to this event. And when that event changes and slows down and people can actually get out and do different things, they have different options, they have lower cost options, and that could hurt sales. They didn't do that, and that put Peloton into a world of hurt. Another example is, let's say you are in the traditional meat business, so chicken, fish, pork. That industry has been trending down, and what's been trending up is healthier alternatives. So whether it's an actual real or a perceived value, people would rather buy something that was organically farmed or grass-fed, those kinds of things. So that trend's been up, and it's been up for years. So if you're gonna go into that market, you might wanna find a niche product that is based on the trend of people looking for healthier options rather than the traditional way that they have delivered meat in the marketplace for decades and decades. So those are a couple examples. The other thing is you want to think about niching. And often when entrepreneurs start a business, they say, hey, I don't want to limit my customer base or my client base, so I'm going to go wide. And that's a mistake, because when you go wide, it's hard to really differentiate your product or service because you're trying to please everybody. And if you try to please everyone, you know who you're competing against? You're competing against Walmart, because Walmart thinks everyone is a customer, and because of that, they compete on price. And if you have to compete with Walmart and compete on price, guess what? They're gonna crush you based on price. So think about niching, and it's better to be too narrow to start because you can always expand your customer or client base. It's better to be too narrow than too wide. You can always expand. So think about those things on item number 2, and we also now want to talk about item number 3. Strategize. Outline your marketing plan and sales approach, operational plan, financial projections, and any unique selling points. Define how you will reach your target audience and deliver your product effectively. This is a key point. You really need to think about the big picture, about where you're going in the future and how you're going to market and sell your product or service. Often, I see business owners, new business owners especially, they don't really think this through. So they just love their idea. It's easy to fall in love with your idea, your product, or your service. But will your audience care? And the way they're going to care is how are you going to make them aware of it? That's marketing. And then how are you going to persuade them to buy it? That's sales. You want to focus on marketing and sales because I've seen great ideas that never made any money because they didn't have a good marketing and sales plan. You also want to strategize your financial future. So looking at your budget of what is it going to cost to get things up and running, and then what is it going to cost to grow and scale your company in a 1, a 3, and a 5-year time frame. It's critically important that you think about these things. And then you also have to think about how easy is it to scale your company with the finances. So run lean in the beginning, spend more money on sales and marketing than you do on operational things and employees. You just have to suck it up and do it yourself for a while. But also think about, can this company scale? Because if you're not thinking about the strategy long term, you might end up in a lifestyle business where you kind of paint yourself in a corner, where it just relies on you and you can't grow and scale. Now, if you want a lifestyle business and your goal is to make $200,000 or $300,000 a year and just run it yourself, that's fine. But don't get surprised if you build a company based on your image and your likeness and you get to a point where you can't scale it and then you wish you would have thought about that years before. So think about strategizing in advance about how you can better prepare and better plan for your future. Number 4, financial plan. Investors and banks speak the language of financial statements. Earn their trust by factoring in startup costs, operating expenses, pricing strategy, sales forecasts, and funding requirements to show that your business will be viable. This is especially important if you're raising money or you need a bank loan to start your business. But this is also important even if you're not relying on a bank. Often entrepreneurs only worry about this stuff later, but your credit and your ability to get funding in the future is really important because you might not need it for the first year or 2 years, but you might need it desperately in years 3, 4, and 5. So thinking about building your credit and managing your financial statements so that a bank will understand and will feel like you're doing the responsible thing. The other reason why that's important is often entrepreneurs get sloppy in the beginning when they start a business. They don't worry about being very concise and very thoughtful about their financials. So whether that's doing the books yourself or getting a bookkeeper, you want to start right out of the gate of having really good financial numbers so that you can see what's working and what's not working. Many times, new business owners, they go from the gut. This is how it feels, and that's great, but you also have to know what's actually happening. And if you don't know the numbers and you don't know what's happening financially in all the different areas of your business, then you really have no idea about what's working and what's not, and what you need to fix, what you need to spend more money on, and what you need to spend less money on. So get the financials dialed in from the beginning. You'll thank me because it's easier to start and get it right than later on to clean up the mess that often I see with business owners. Number 5, summarize and pitch. Now that your plan is complete, create an executive summary, financial projections, and an implementation timeline. Use visuals and data to support your points and make it visually appealing to investors. Now think about this. As you're going to market, you want to make sure everyone's excited about what you're doing. And to be excited, you have to have a really clear, thought out plan about how you're going to present this. So if you know some people in your target market, this is a great opportunity to get market research. Go to them and pitch them your idea. And they're probably going to tell you initially, I don't get it, I don't like it, and that's good feedback. But if they have no interest at all, then maybe you have the wrong idea. You want to hone that message. You want to get it more and more exact so that when you go to an investor or you go to a potential client or customer, it resonates. You know how you're going to know? Is when they say, it's almost like you know what I'm thinking without me even saying it. That's when you've nailed your pitch and your presentation. Over your lifetime as an entrepreneur, you're going to create a team of professionals. You're going to pick up an accountant, an attorney, an insurance agent, a banker. And if you picture those professionals like spokes on a wheel, they're usually not all A players by the time you fill out that wheel. They're not talking to each other or collaborating. The worst part though is you're in the middle of that wheel. You're the hub trying to manage that team of professionals when you probably don't speak the languages of tax, legal, insurance, and investment. And that's a problem. That's why I call that the financial flat tire. So what we want you to have is a functional wealth wheel. So the functional wealth wheel is when you have A players on all those spokes of your wheel. They're collaborating and talking to each other for your best result. There's someone in the middle of the wheel, it's not you, who's managing that team of professionals, who speaks the languages of tax, legal, insurance, and investment, holds all those professionals accountable so that you can become like a pedal on that wheel. And if you're the pedal, you can easily move that big wheel, setting the vision, setting the goals without being stuck in the middle of it. So that's why you want to go from financial flat tire to functional wealth wheel. One of the most probable ways you can get wealthy in America is by owning a business. And starting your business is critical. But having the plan before you start it and you start spending money and time is even more important. So think about the 5 steps, about the business plan, about why you need to do this and how this is going to help you in the future. And you'll be way ahead of the game, way ahead of most entrepreneurs when they start. You'd be surprised at how many business owners start without a business plan and how many mistakes they make. And sometimes it sets them back months, even years. This will put you way ahead of the game. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, check out the next video. See you in the next one.